San Diego County is known for being one of America's most expensive regions. Locals are feeling the squeeze and looking for solutions. KPBS's new series, Price of San Diego, delves into the rising cost of groceries, childcare, car insurance, and even our beloved California burrito. You won't want to miss this ongoing series live now at kpbs.org/Price of San Diego.
Welcome in, San Diego. It's Jade Hindman. On today's show, flowers are blooming. We'll catch up with Nan Sterman to talk about spring gardening. This is KPBS Midday Edition, connecting our communities through conversation. Well, it may feel like summer out there, but we're actually just getting ready for spring. And Midday listeners may know that means it is time to check in with Nan Sterman as we get ready for our spring planting. Nan is host of A Growing Passion here on KPBS and our go-to gardening expert as well. Nan, welcome back to Midday Edition.
Thank you for having me, Jade. It's always fun to be here.
Always fun to have you here in studio and to talk about plants, all things planting. At the top, I mentioned the summer-like weather that we're having. I mean, what does that mean for our gardening, though?
It's been the strangest winter. We almost didn't have winter. It's been incredibly warm. And then the last couple of days have been very warm. And even the evenings have been warm. The plants, it seems like everything is blooming earlier. They're going in sequence. It's just starting earlier, which is okay, except the flowers for like fruit trees and vegetables and such, they flower in sequence with the emergence of their pollinators. And so there's the question of whether the pollinators are going to be around to pollinate your nectarines and your plums and whatever. And we don't really know the answer yet. So will we get the fruit we expect?
That's very interesting. We've had some strong storms also, I might add. Any advice on how to manage trees or plants that may have been damaged?
Really good question. So especially, usually we get cold damage over the winter. And I always say to people, don't cut it off right away, because if we get another cold storm or cold streak, the damaged portions of the plant will protect the portions that weren't damaged. But if you cut off the damage, then the next part of the plant gets hurt and so on and so forth. So I always say, wait, don't cut off the damaged part until we get well into March, maybe even April, because we know by then we won't get any more cold weather. The hail does have an impact on some plants, especially like on succulents. You end up with like pitting on the leaves. It's not attractive, but you really don't want to cut it off because the plants need those leaves. It doesn't stop them from growing. You just have to wait it out until there are new leaves to replace them.
Now, you say now is the time to plant citrus trees. What should people consider when choosing what to plant and what will work best here in our region?
Citrus, unless you live in the mountains, you can plant almost any citrus. It's really amazing. We are really in wonderful citrus territory. So find your favorite citrus, and then you have to make sure you're planting in a spot that gets absolute full sun, which means no less than 8 hours of full direct sun all year round. You also want to make sure that you are going to irrigate it correctly, so you want to set everything up. Citrus take some water. They're not xeric plants. They're not water-wise plants. You can water them deeply and not that often, especially if you're near the coast. But they do need to have water. And then you have to make sure you have enough room for the ultimate size of the tree you want to grow. So, for example, grapefruit can be a huge tree, 15 feet by 15 feet minimum. You don't want to put that into a space that's 5 feet wide.
Okay, yeah. Because that could kill them, right?
Well, it's not that it could kill them, but you have to constantly then be pruning them so they don't completely, exactly. But all different kinds of citrus grow to different sizes, and so you just have to do your homework ahead of time. And if you only have X amount of space, maybe you want a dwarf mandarin. Mandarins are what tangerines are technically called mandarins. Or maybe you want a kumquat, which will grow maybe 8 feet wide. You just have to know how much space you have and what do you like to eat.
Yes, that part is important.
That's the most important part. Don't ever bother planting something you don't like to eat.
Yeah. Otherwise, something else will come along and eat it.
Yeah, that could be. It's just a waste.
Yeah. Remind us what time of year is best or what time of year is best for what type of planting? I mean, especially for those looking to have fruit year-round.
Oh, I love doing that. So you can choose different kinds of fruit trees so that you have something that's ripe in each season. Winter is our citrus. We kind of have a little bit of a gap in the early spring, but then once we get into summer, you've got stone fruits like peaches, plums, nectarines, etc. Later, and you've got some apples that there are different varieties of apples that ripen in different times of year. Some ripen in summer. When you get to the end of summer, you've got your figs and your pineapple guava and some of your tropical guava. There are tropical guava that also ripen all through the year. Pomegranates are fall. Then we get into the citrus. And that's just an example. I mean, there's many other, persimmons ripen in fall. You get those beautiful big orange orbs right around the holidays, right just before the holidays. So you can really choose. So in my garden, I'm always picking something.
Yeah. Okay, so you mentioned apples. So which ones ripen in the summer?
I think it's the anise. I don't generally grow apples that ripen in summer. I grow apples that ripen after the stone fruit because in my family, if there's peaches, plums, or nectarines, nobody's interested in an apple, right? My favorite apple is called Sundowner, and it ripens in October and November. It's a delicious apple, crisp, sweet, tart. You can just bite it off the tree or you can cook with it, and it just ripens in that gap. And that's the one I always tell people to buy. Look for Sundowner.
Sundowner, I must do that. I'm a connoisseur, even though I'm a little allergic, but I'm still Yeah, I know. It doesn't make sense, but still, it's my favorite fruit. So what are we going to do?
Okay.
What advice do you have for someone looking to really start a spring vegetable garden?
Oh, this is the time. Okay, my first advice is wait. Because people always want to buy seedlings. It's too cold to put seedlings in the ground. To plant seedlings, there have to be two conditions. One is the ground has to be warm enough, and that's a little hard to measure. But we know that when nights are over 50 degrees, consistently over 50 degrees, then the soil is going to be warm enough and the air is going to be warm enough for seedlings to grow. And that happens kind of around April, mid-April. So you don't want to plant seedlings before mid-April.
Okay.
But I think what's more important is what my favorite thing is I start my seeds now. And I teach people how to start seeds now. I have a seed starting course called Strong Starts, which is part of my Nan Sterman Garden School. So what we do is we start the seeds now because it takes about 6 weeks, maybe 8 weeks, for the seeds to become seedlings big enough to put into the garden. And then people freak out, and if they miss that window, they feel like they completely missed it. No. We can start seeds now. We can start seeds anytime between now and May or June and still have a full crop before we get to the cool weather.
So you mentioned that there's seeds and then there's seedlings.
Right.
So
seedlings are transplants, basically. When you go to the nursery and you buy a little plant, that was a seed about 6 or 8 weeks earlier. So
then it started to sprout,
right.
And then it's ready to put into the ground.
Exactly. And people are afraid to start with seeds because they don't understand the process. It's a really fascinating and it's not a hard process. This is what I've been teaching for years.
Yeah.
One of the many things I've been teaching for years.
Well, and you mentioned the Nan Sterman gardening school. So if people are interested in getting in that and getting their hands in some dirt, how do they do that?
They visit the website nanstermangardenschool.com. And you'll see all the courses. And the one that applies to the spring gardening is called Strong Starts. And it's really fun.
Yes, and you're in there with them, hands in the dirt?
There's 2 ways to participate. There's an online course. So I send out seeds and a kit and a whole thing. It's almost everything you need. And then there's a series of videos that people work through at their own pace. And then every couple of weeks, we do a live Zoom coaching session, and we talk about how things are going, and I basically hold their hands all the way through to harvest. And then we have a private community where people can talk. So it's an ongoing process, starts now, and it goes through July. But there's no obligation. I mean, if somebody just wants to do it on their own, they're absolutely fine. But then I also teach 3 optional hands-on workshops where we meet for half a day, And we do all that planting, and I walk them through the process. And it's a really, really fun. I'm doing 2 of those in San Diego this year. One is the Water Conservation Garden, and one is in Carlsbad in a floral studio, and in the back of the floral studio.
Oh,
and those
nice.
are this month. And the dates and all that are on the website.
Okay.
And the third one I'm doing is actually in Los Angeles at Flora Grub Nursery.
Wow, there's lots of options there.
Yeah, and it's really
And
fun
lots
when
to
we
learn.
get together and do it together. But not everybody has the time, the patience, or
Yeah.
the availability. And so the online, anybody who comes to a workshop has access to all the online stuff too.
That's great. Okay, so, a common question that we get is like, what do I do if I have limited space? Maybe a small balcony or in an apartment. Like, what are some of the best ways that people can take advantage of smaller spaces? What can you grow in a small space?
Well, you can grow anything, you just have to grow less of it. So you have to be really careful about what you choose to grow. One of the common mistakes people make in growing in a small space is buying small pots. Small pots aren't big enough to grow anything, and when we're talking about fruits and vegetables, to the size they need to be to harvest. But if you get a good-sized pot, you can look for varieties that are specifically marked as container plants, because those are, basically they're dwarfs. So there are tomatoes that are specifically container plant size, cucumbers, peppers, eggplants, all of those. Look for the varieties that are marked as container size, and then whatever size pot you think you're going to grow them in, choose 2 sizes larger. So, for example, to grow a tomato plant, even a container size, you really want, if you think about a nursery pot that's a 15-gallon size, that's a minimum size for 1 plant.
Wow. Well, this explains why my pineapple is not.
Oh, that's a whole different ball of wax.
Why is my bromeliad not sprouting?
I'm so impressed that
I've
you
learned
know
so much
this.
from you, Nan. I have.
You took the pineapple top off and you tried to
I
grow
did,
it?
and I put it. I took the top off. The pineapple was delicious. But I took the top off and put it in a jar with water for about a week or so, and then it sprouted little roots, and then I put it in dirt, and so it's big now in that pot. But I guess I need to replant that.
Well, it depends. How long ago did you do this?
This is about 2 years ago.
Okay, so it should be about at the point where we'll make a pineapple. It needs a lot of sun and a lot of heat. And if it doesn't have a lot of sun and a lot of heat, it probably won't do its thing. Did you know this? There used to be pineapples grown. There's a pineapple plantation at the end of Point Loma.
Oh, wow.
Yes, 100 years ago.
Okay. So this region will grow.
Yeah, it's not ideal. It's hard. I mean, if you get a pineapple, you can rejoice. But there was a pineapple plantation down at the end of Point Loma back in the Rosicrucian or whenever it was days.
That's so interesting. Well, if I get a pineapple, it's going all over Instagram.
Absolutely. And let me know. I'll celebrate with you.
Thank you. Well, we reached out also on Instagram to see what questions our audience had, and here's one. What are the easiest plants to grow with toddlers?
Toddlers don't have a lot of patience. They love getting their hands in the dirt, but they don't have a lot of patience. So my advice is don't bother starting seeds because they'll lose interest right away. Instead, take your toddler to the nursery, go to the part where they have the little 4-inch pots, and tell them you can buy 1 or 2 or whatever number it is. Let them choose, bring them home, plant them together. They love getting dirty. Plant them together, and then get them a little watering can. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to take care of it because they don't have that patience. You'll do it. But let them think that they're doing it. And, remind them every day, we got to water every couple of days. We got to water, whatever. Give them the sense of success. I did that with my little kids who are now adults, and they are major gardeners. But you got to get them in there and also introduce them to the bugs in a good way. Right? Not to be afraid of the bugs. The bugs are really important. Sit in the garden. We used to do this. We would sit in the garden and watch the ladybugs crawl up and down the leaves and the butterflies and all that. They loved that. They love that. And it's the antidote to screens.
This is so true. That's good advice right there. And quickly, I know we've got only about a minute left. Another question we got from Instagram. This one is pretty specific, though. The landscape parkway outside has very compacted dirt. Will flowers grow if I lay the seeds down there?
Well, it's really kind of too late for our spring wildflowers. But besides that, you got to deal with the soil. And the best thing to do is get some coarse wood mulch, not bark, but wood. Lay out about 3-inch thick layer over the whole parkway and let it sit there for 4 or 5 months. Mm-hmm. It'll completely change the soil, and then you can plant. And you don't have to plant just seeds. You can plant anything.
Wow.
As long as it fits.
Oh, that's the big key here. All right. Well, it's always great to talk gardening with you, especially around the spring. I've been speaking with Nan Sterman, host of KPBS's A Growing Passion. Nan, thanks as always.
Thank you so much.
That's our show for today. I'm your host, Jade Hindman. Thanks for tuning in to Midday Edition. Be sure to have a great day on purpose, everyone.
At 10 o'clock, they're happy. How is she dead 2 hours later?
When a San Diego police officer is found dead in her home, who investigates? Follow One of Their Own, a new podcast from KPBS, wherever you listen.